So welcome to the Drupal usability meeting on August 23rd, 2022. Today's attendees are Vani, Simo Helston, Randy Ost, Andrei Zvonkov, and Ofer Schal. And yeah, my name is Rod Corner. And we are looking at issue 1973322, add drop buttons to the appearance page. As I've already mentioned before, at the moment, it's impossible to check out the merge request due to an error, but that issue might be easy enough to take a look at on the screenshots. So basically, what the merge request proposes is, at the moment, if you take a look on the appearance page, you have settings, you have set as default for install themes that are not default yet, or you have the option to uninstall, as well as on uninstalled themes, you have install, and set as default. And the merge requests basically throws everything into a single drop button. So you have settings, uninstall, and set as default as options there with the default of settings. That's the current state. And as quite one posted on the issue, she linked it basically to a meta issue in the ideas queue about the appearance page, and there is also a mock-up with a slightly different take, just for reference. There you have basically the settings button, and then you have all the set as default, set as admin, or set as default and admin as an option. So not an heterogeneous list, but a slight separation of concerns there. So any questions?
I have a question. Not sure if it's out of topic, but is it popular that people use theme for both default and admin? For me, I know 100% of the time they're two different themes.
Yes. But back then, when that mockup was created, that was one of the concerns that was raised, that there are pages that use a theme for default as well as for admin. And therefore, that option had to be there. But yeah, I agree.
I guess my concern is more like, because it's such an edge case, should it take the same prominent and weight as the other option that, like, usually it's kind of two clear choices. Edge cases, it's both. And I don't know if there's a different way to not confuse people with something that probably is an edge case and not something they'll easily choose.
I think also here we are looking at a button that has like doing one thing, doing another thing, and doing both of the other options at the same time. So it's not really clear, because you get the same result from first choosing one and then choosing the other. So it's just one, well, actually two more clicks if it's an edge case.
The question that comes to my mind with this particular issue is, the question I ask is, what problem is this trying to solve? I agree that the mock-up that's done with the dropdown is more aesthetically pleasing, but it's adding an extra click to the user to be able to do these things. Maybe I don't know, but like if additional things are going to be added to this dropdown as options, then making it a dropdown starts to make more sense. but these 3 items have been in the appearance panel with themes for a long time. And I really, as a user, I really like being able to click on it instead of having to click on a drop down and then make another selection.
So everyone is saying that the heterogeneous list of all buttons moved into a single drop button, and having all those diverse options like settings, uninstall, and set as default under one roof is not ideal. Let's put it that way.
I agree with that statement.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons is that settings redirects the user to another page, while set as default does not. It just probably initiates page load.
Yep. Do
So
set as
that would,
default.
yeah. So that would kind of yeah. The user wouldn't know whether or not they are redirected or taken to another page.
I would agree that separation of concern is important here, as in like putting these things together doesn't make sense from my perspective. But I was wondering, is there a separate issue, or anybody is aware of the where these cards are actually being redone? Because I
Yes.
feel like they're very sort of information dense, especially with the the screenshots and stuff, kind of text in the screenshots themselves. Because if they had somehow more space or more breaking down of these text or these items, it might be easier to understand and read. Like just like when everything is kind of in line and wrapping. And just like overall, I feel like it adds more confusion to the whole thing.
1 second. At first, apologies. I forgot to mention. Have I mentioned the issue number for the add drop buttons issue yet?
You did.
Okay, okay, then good. And about Andre's question, there is a meta issue in the ideas queue. It's issue number 2860419. Appearance page is too long and confusing, which has several child issues. And there is one of these things is redesign the cards for the appearance page. And that is issue number 3249374. Can also copy to the chat, which deals with the cards itself.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for pointing that to that.
Do you know if themes are on the roadmap for project browser? So I would expect it would be good to match project browser for modules, to have it kind of a matching one for themes, but I didn't check that.
There is not yet. I've in the Drupal CMS survey that went out a week ago or so, I've raised that as one of my concerns in regards of the situational awareness. And I've also tried to raise it several times in the Drupal Slack as a suggestion, basically to get people from this group together with the folks from the recipes as well as from Project Browser, because I think, Simo, you did some extensive research in regards of the modules page, just the modules on the modules list page, that meta issue. And I guess it was around DrupalCon Prague. And yeah, the point is, during the Drupalism's working group meetings, at the moment, oops, if we go here, you have the top level menu item appearance, but one person there said, Luke, that technically you don't change the appearance that often. So you don't visit the appearance page that regularly. And technically, that's, from my point of view, it would definitely make sense to consolidate the whole extend page, because point is, with Project Browser, as you can see here, you have source types. One is modules, currently called Drupal.org JSON API. Then you have recipes that got introduced, and you have Drupal core. Technically, themes are also extensions, at least listed on Drupal.org. And from my point of view, at the moment, several concepts overlap here. Some of those entities listed here are, the Drupal.org is completely remote. Nothing is in the file system yet. Recipes, in contrast, only lists recipes shipping with Drupal core, meaning those are already in the file system and local that just have to be applied. While Drupal core is a subset of the modules list page, listing all the core modules available for the site, but also only local. While on here, at the moment, we only have just the list page, which is basically the core modules mixed with edit or composer required contrib modules. And then you have update, and also uninstall just refers to list. We also, we have to, 1 second, where is the other issue? I don't find it yet at the moment. I'll post it afterwards. Oh, wait, there it is. There is basically the following issue, another one, issue number 20350079. We've also talked in this issue, in this meeting here, figure out what to do with the install and uninstall module page, and we've created already 3 child issues for that, and postpone the issue on those. Because at the moment, oops, it's just a patchwork, and the point is also that recipes going into core and available, and if you install, for example, the prototype of Starshot, you have an overwhelming list page. You have no actual touch point which recipes are available, which recipes got applied. You have no situational awareness at all, and to figure out if you get as someone external to a new page, it's close to impossible, not impossible, but an overwhelming task to understand what is installed, what got applied, and so forth. And there are several concepts mixed, and if you don't know about the concepts and the underlying constraints of each of those concepts, there are many stepping stones. Let's put it as stumbling blocks. Let's put it that way. So tricky. Yeah, but that's a rough overview. But there haven't happened any discussion yet. But I would vote for one.
Hey, thanks for the context. That's very interesting. The browser cards, I mean
Oops, you
for the
mean,
for the modules, right? I mean,
yeah.
they only have install uninstall, right? They don't have settings kind of baked into the card itself, from what I can remember when you browse for modules.
Oh, you mean
Yeah, like
on
cards
project
for,
browser?
yeah, if we're talking, if there are, say, part of this setup, the themes are, um, yeah, we have the usage statistics and the add and install, which themes, I guess, like they would not necessarily have that, or
I think they would. Installs they have, as well as security coverage, I think so as well. Just not
Mhm.
sure if they would have the same type of categories. But I know for sure that in the near future, after recipes, themes is also planned to go in, and it makes total sense
Mhm.
to make them available via project browser.
So that's in a way kind of, I mean, makes the issue a bit obsolete or not at this point, or um, we're still trying to solve that issue, install uninstall settings on the appearance page.
Yeah. 1 second, I go there again.
Yeah, the the project browser page also, they use the icons for the for representation of the modules, and themes always historically had screenshots, although these might not be sort of like the best representation of things, but that's how they always been. Also, I'm not sure, I'm just kind of thinking if they're a part of that project browser setup in the same card setup, how would they handle screenshots, or if they have icons?
1 second about that question. If we go to the extend page and browse, on the cards, you have the icon, but
Yeah.
if you click on the details page, then yeah, at the moment it is not in place, but technically there is a slideshow or a carousel where you're able to
See more.
click through screenshots and impressions of the UI of
Yep.
the particular module. And that carousel is an often requested feature and an important one in the survey that was done about a year ago.
Ralph, is the idea to remove the appearance menu item?
At least to me, that's my personal opinion. There's no plan at all at this point. But in the context of moving around those blog pages, back then we already ideated maybe moving some of those into appearance to make it more consistent or relevant. But yeah, the longer I thought about it now, in the context of the points I've made now, based on that statement in the Drupalisms call, as well as the whole plans for project browser, moving in recipes as well as themes. For me, and also the fact, yeah, that you don't change your themes that often. So to me,
Yeah.
it makes at least more sense.
As a developer, I love it, right? It's like it totally makes sense. Like appearance takes so much space in a menu that's like always there. You go there once in a lifetime of the site, maybe, right? Like, and if it could live somewhere else, that'll be amazing. The other side in my mind is thinking like I think also WordPress have some kind of a brush with appearance that makes it clear, but there's very little things, at least in the Drupal world, in there that yeah, maybe if it's not as easy to find, it also you find it once and you never look back almost.
Yep.
So
One second.
overall I think I do like the idea of that not living there and taking space in the main menu.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One
the one reason when you need to visit that page is when you try to find out if your bug is theme specific or if it affects all themes. So that's basically the only time you need to start switching themes after launch.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, it seems like we've opened another can of worms, but I was wondering also the whole context of admin themes and being a part of that settings set up. So you have and then you have sort of like could have parent themes and sub themes that are enabled at the same time.
Yep.
And then you have, I mean, yeah, I agree, like you only enable a main theme once, but you might be going there and changing the admin theme, for example, from Claro to whatever, something else at some point.
Ralph, could you show us WordPress
Yeah.
not being there a lot, the plugins part? Because I think previously in Drupal, themes were the most pleasant page to look at, and modules is boring, simple list. Now with the project browser, it is a beautiful list. So I think, yeah, this is the boring side, it seems.
Yeah,
So
but
I think in
it's
the Drupal world, it's very nice now that we have a way to present things. I really like the idea now of consolidate them together.
but one detail I really like about WordPress in comparison to Project Browser or in Drupal in general. In here you have list, then you have browse next to it. But in WordPress, you have simply a single list for plugins, aka modules for Drupal, and you're able to activate, to delete, to deactivate. And if you go to add new plugin, that way you get to the browser, which is equivalent to Project Browser in that regard. And I wonder technically if having something like, oops, too many pages, apologies and tabs. If you would have something like add a module button instead of removing that local item browse and having something like add a module. And if let's say you call that modules, then you have a local item for recipes and you have a local item for themes. And on each of those local items, you have a button in that regard here, add a module, and then you get to the browse page for the source type of just module. And that way it's a clear separation of concern. It's clear instead of having here a single umbrella local item containing several sub local items. The only detail I would wonder about is the problem of a point that was raised in the context of recipes, that agencies, for example, are able to define their own source type. So at a client, they can then show basically that source type with a honed list of recipes bespoke for the client and bespoke for their agency, and how to fit that in might be discussable and controversial, but
just to point out one of the reasons why we don't have the similar with WordPress, those in the list installed plugins, we don't have that activate delete options. I think one of the reasons is that we can do it at the same time for multiple. So that's kind of the different thing about Drupal is that we have the checkboxes, so we can do. Oh, they have also that.
You have the bulk actions for activate and deactivate, update. Though they have that in place as well.
Yeah.
So though that page is highly condensed and highly functional and very clearly communicated from my point of view. And if you take, in comparison, Drupal, that list page, at the moment you have core, then administration, then core experimental, field types, those groupings. That brings us back to the general what to do with the list page meta. And then you have other that, trash bin taxonomy, and then interface. And if you compare that, for example, with Starshot and it's something like web form and ECA in place, it becomes even more overwhelming and confusing. And that also overlaps to the other issue. It's issue number, 21, and this also in the shortlist for today, 2118081. Unmet module requirements are too hard to find on admin modules. And there is, for example, the where is it? Yeah, admin toolbar links access filter has, for example, a disabled checkbox upfront. It's exactly the reason that issue is about. In that case, it's an incompatibility of the module with Drupal 11, but there are also other cases. So any thoughts, any further thoughts, or should we summarize our conclusions for the add drop buttons page and the other fields we've touched so far?
Can you actually show that the WordPress appearance page for another second?
Yep. The appearance page?
Yeah.
Okay, here.
Mm.
And yeah, you have the theme details.
Okay. Yeah.
And you have the option to customize.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess is some sort of Gutenberg thing. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. But it's like, yeah, it's you take few steps on separate pages to actually get the thing installed and enabled and configured. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, so to summarize the add drop buttons to the appearance page issue, so would our recommendation be either to postpone it or close it, maybe even?
Actually, I managed to install that locally, so I can't share it, but actually it does have one benefit, that it sets the default. So I can maybe share my
Yeah,
screen.
1 second, I stopped mine. Simo, in case you're talking, you're muted right now.
Okay, sorry. So this is the page with the drop button enabled. So here the default is always setting, so it does hide the less used options. So settings would be the most used for installed themes. And uninstall and set default would be less frequently used. So it does have that benefit. And here for the themes that are not installed, it has different options, and the default is install. So it kind of does implement sensible defaults.
True.
And here, the separation of concerns, because the default is sensible, it might not be such a big issue. So it might be like the sensible default and hiding the less frequently used options might be more beneficial than separating the concerns here. So I'm kind of I actually changed my opinion after I tried this. So if it would have here another option as set as admin.
No, set as admin is set if you scroll down.
Yeah, but it would yeah, it would be useful to have it there, like as per the
that way, around. Yep, I agree. That was one of the points we've suggested back then for the appearance meta to remove that field set and make it sort of possible.
Yeah. So here, so here we're having an issue that improves something, but there is some regression. But I think the improvements are, in my opinion, the improvements are big enough to kind of lose the separation of concerns.
Yeah, sort of agree. Now seeing it in action.
This does clean the page, makes it look more organized.
I would agree visually it's a bit cleaner, as in not having these links, especially when they're wrapped. And kind of similar to the text. But yeah, I'm still kind of on the fence about the separation of concerns, as in installing, uninstalling to me is I'm not sure if it's actually part of the settings. Like settings is to me is a one thing and uninstalling is another, but having it under the settings drop down. Unless it's discovered once and you know it's there, but otherwise it's kind of confusing, like not knowing that uninstall is actually part of that setting setup. That's just my opinion. Yeah, so yeah, I'm also kind of on the fences, and now that I've seen this might be an improvement, but at the same time, not sure.
One question and one suggestion. First, at the moment, the drop button or the standalone settings button are left aligned. But from my feeling, would it be more, at least for me, it feels like the button should be right aligned, as it was on the current. Yeah, in the current, on the current page, without the patch applied, all the buttons are right aligned and then stack up to the left. Well, here it's the other way around.
Yeah, I would probably agree. Makes sense to space it out a bit more.
Yeah, I think in the Drupal design system, the current state of the cards, one second, I'm just looking it up. Where's the appearance page?
And if we go by the modules browser cards, the way they're currently implemented, again, that sort of like the icon is on top, the content or a small description is below, and the button is on the right as well. So here we kind of have a card is set up differently, where you have the screenshot on the left, text on the right. But yeah, that's, I guess, a whole another issue.
Yeah. I've posted a link to the Drupal design system, and in the sidebar, on the style guide page, at the bottom you have one entry for the card component, and there it is also right aligned.
Yep, I see that. Thank you. Yeah, they actually have an appearance, I mean, the theme card as well in there on the bottom, where the all three buttons or three links are just in line and in their left aligned. But again, that doesn't have to be that way. It's actually, no, they have a different.
They have a theme card as well? Under
Like
other or
Yeah,
under?
the very bottom of the style guide, there's a representation of the 7.8.8.0 dash dev theme. That looks to me like a theme card with the 7 theme screenshot. The style guide is from a while back too, right? Like
I think it's still actively worked on and discussed.
Okay.
So if you take a look at the comments on the sidebar and the timestamps, 6 months ago,
Mhm.
some are more recent, so it is still used. Ah, there it. Ah, okay. Now I see where you were. Okay, and then those are left aligned. Okay.
But then, yeah, on the other cards, the top ones, they're right aligned.
Yep.
But I agree, it makes sense to put it on the right, I think, just for spacing and overall kind of have more breathing room for stuff. That screen, again, the screenshots themselves, when they have text, if it's a screenshot of a theme, kind of makes it a bit more confusing in a way.
So how should we proceed? My suggestion would be, so we have sort of an agreement, or some of us are still on the fence. I'm leaning towards basically that it's not a bad idea, moving everything into that drop button, like Simo demonstrated, but still taking into consideration all the upcoming changes with Project Browser, as well as to the modules pages and potentially appearance page. Maybe as a consensus or suggestion for a consensus, that the issue itself is at least okay or useful, but maybe to postpone it until the other moving parts are more settled, and then see if it still makes sense or might need some adjustments.
Yeah,
And
I would.
Oh, sorry, go first.
Yeah, no, just in agreement with the postponing this for now.
Also in agreement.
And your thoughts, Simo? You're still muted in case you were already talking. And one further suggestion, should we try to get a bigger discussion, as suggested, with people from the recipes initiative as well as Project Browser, to discuss the extend page as a whole, as a whole, and how to handle things there.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, I'm kind of with you on the stuff that you were showing, and the potential for moving of the appearance into the whole extend browser context. So I mean, if the discussion could be started there, that would probably be great.
Okay. Then I try to raise that another time, and yeah, we'll see if others are agreeing for a bigger discussion. And yeah. Okie doke. Yeah, then I'll comment on the drop button issue. And yeah, I'm not sure if it makes sense to continue and start another issue, because with 7 minutes left might be a bit tough to make anything useful in the time.
Well, thank you for facilitating today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks.
Hope it was somehow okay-ish, because never done it to that extent.
Well, you did great. Yeah.
Yeah, could have fooled me.
Okie doke. Yeah, then I think let's end a little bit early today, and yeah, we will continue with the other open issues next week. And maybe, yeah, the errors, at least for me. I think, Simo, you're on Linux, I suppose, aren't you?